This year is Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic, issue number 100. Continuing from the final issue of the Power Rangers comic, the Omega Rangers are under the control of the Death Ranger. Andros tells Zord about what he did to free the Death Ranger, hoping that in exchange for the Death Ranger's freedom, the former Gold Omega Ranger would defeat those who had destroyed KO-35. But now the Death Ranger is in control of the Omega Rangers and building an army of zombies. The Rangers are willing to help Andros, although Tommy isn't so sure he can be trusted after he kept things from Jason's team. But the Rangers go along with Andros anyway. Zordon says that if the people of KO-35 were resurrected by the grid and are simply a manifestation of will, then destroying the Death Ranger should solve the problem of the zombie army. So then, all 7 Rangers morph into action. Once morphed, C uses the Arch to send the Rangers to KO-35. This also marks the first time that Matt has been on an alien planet, and Kimberly reminds him that he can't tell anyone else about it. Adam asks about fighting the zombies. He doesn't want to chop any heads off like characters usually do in movies. It looks like the Rangers won't need to do that because Billy has brought along the Tricera Cannon. It floods a target system with charged ion particles which disrupt the flow and absorption of morphin energy. In theory, one direct hit should free the Omega Rangers. The Astro Megaship arrives and Kimberly calls out to Jason, trying to get him to take back control of his body. However, the Death Ranger still has a hold on Jason, telling Kimberly he's content where he is. The same can be given to the other Rangers. No grief, no pain, no loss. Tommy tells the Death Ranger they didn't come all this way just to surrender. And so the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers engage the Death Ranger-controlled Omega Rangers in battle. So, to recap, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are supposed to elude and evade the Omega Rangers. They need to pull their punches where they can. That's kind of easy for Kimberly to say, but when she tries to advise Rocky on fighting with Yale, Trini's weapon smacks Kimberly far away. Billy gets to use his Tricera Cannon on Zack. However, Zack gets back up and punches Matt away. Billy takes up Adam's suggestion of turning up the power a bit. Suddenly, everyone looks different. That's because this comic used different artists. I must say I prefer the art starting from these 2 pages over the previous ones. I don't really like the idea of multiple artists working on one issue of a comic book, as the comic looks inconsistent. But I suppose you can say there's something for everybody, as people will have different tastes. Anyway, Andros punches Zane, telling the Death Ranger that he's not fighting against his people, he's fighting for them. The Death Ranger then escalates the situation by summoning the Ultra Omega Zord. Tommy says he's seen it before, but that's not going to scare him. That is until the Death Ranger summons the Gold Omega Zord, and then the Ultra Gold Omega Zord is formed. The Ultra Gold Omega Zord looks rather angelic, so it's quite twisted how it's being used by the Death Ranger. Anyway, with the Ultra Gold Omega Zord on the scene, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers summon their Thunder Zords and the Dragon Zord. Not only that, the Rangers have backup on the ground in the form of Archon, Kevil and Journey. So, they're here to help the Rangers take on the zombies and the Omega Rangers. Whilst Archon and Kevil mostly go fighting, Journey tries to talk with Trini. Admitting that Journey should already be dead because Trini is the faster and the stronger one, it can only mean one thing. Trini is still in there, fighting the Death Ranger's control, slowing her down to give Journey a fighting chance. Over to the Zords now, and the Rangers power up the Thunder Saber. But then the Ultra Gold Omega Zord fires on the Thunder Megazord, and that's out of the picture for now. That leaves it up to Matt's Dragon Zord, and he uses the Dragon Fire and the Drill attacks, both achieving nothing. So, the Ultra Gold Omega Zord beats the Dragon Zord down too. Tommy tries to make the Death Ranger an offer. Free Jason and the Omega Rangers, and Tommy gives the Death Ranger his connection to the grid. He says he's willing to do this to protect his friends, but then Andros tells him to get down as he fires the Tricera Cannon at the Death Ranger. However, Andros' aim was off and misses. So this act failed because Andros' aim was bad. The Tricera Cannon is then cut in half by the Death Ranger. So that invention proved to be useless. Andros then grabs the Death Ranger from behind and then finally punches 335 on his Astromorpher to morph out of his black stealth suit and into the Red Space Ranger. This causes a reaction and we appear to see what's going on in Jason's mind. Andros calls out to Jason telling him to wake up. The other Rangers tell Jason that they could just set up some hammocks and roast marshmallows on top of the original Megazord. This is the Death Rangers doing, trying to keep Jason subdued. Andros breaks out from the Megazord's eye and pulls Jason down to somewhere else. They end up at a moment from Shattered Grid. For Jason, this was a moment of hope and safety. But Andros says they need to keep moving. However, the Gold Omega Ranger has caught up and pulls Jason down further. Jason and Andros are falling through moments of Jason's life. He can seek refuge from the Death Ranger in these moments, but he mustn't get lost in them. And so Jason ends up at a point where he's talking with his mother. This is a sweet moment for Jason, as we should all know by now that his mother is dead. So it's good he can see his mother again this way. However, he tells her he cannot stay. The sad fact is, his mother is dead. He would love to stay and pretend that's his real mother, but it isn't. Jason chooses to break out and comes face to face with the Death Ranger. He rejects what the Death Ranger offered him because he's a Power Ranger. And so, in an awesome moment that was beautifully illustrated, Jason gathers energy in his right fist, swings, and morphs into the Mighty Morphin Red Ranger, the Armored Red Ranger, and then the Red Omega Ranger, as his fist hits the Death Ranger. That breaks the Gold Omega Morpher, and so, back in the real world, Jason is powered down and has full control over himself again. The Death Ranger is untethered, the life force freed from the Morpher. As Zord said, destroying the Death Ranger solved the zombie army problem. The other Omega Rangers are also freed. Zane is back to being in a comatose state. Things on the ground are alright, however, the Ultra Gold Omega Zord is still attacking the Zords. That's because the Death Ranger is now the Ultra Gold Omega Zord. As before, the Thunder Megazord and Dragon Zord are easily defeated. Matt comes up with an idea though. Rocky knows exactly what he's thinking. And so, the Rangers come up with something new, and they form the Dragon Thunder Zord. Once again, we have another new formation from Boom Studios, and it looks good. However, just like some previous formations, it's just impossible to imagine that's happening in real life. If you have the toys, you just can't make the Dragon Thunder Zord. Back to the action now. This is a powerful formation, and the Rangers use the Dragon Saber Fire Strike, which cuts down the Ultra Gold Omega Zord, defeating the Death Ranger for real this time. Disappointingly, the Zords battle over in a flash. I think it could have been handled better. At the same time, some Zord battles on the TV show are that short, so in this case, it feels just like that. 1 week later, we're on Safe Haven. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers have been told by Zord that they have to get back before Lord Zed shows up again. They must also get back before the Rangers' parents realise they're not in Switzerland. So they must have used the peace conference as an excuse for being out of town. A nice little nod there again to the original TV series. Billy did some work on Zane's cryogenic chamber. So Billy's assistance seems to be the key to waking Zane up in the future in the comics universe. As the Rangers depart, Zack and Trini are with Journey. After just 1 week, Journey is old and dying. The cellular metabolism is running at super speed, but there's nothing to stop it. Journey has no regrets though. In such a short span of time, Journey has been through so much. Not many people with twice the time can say the same. Journey dies of old age. However, I don't feel anything. Was there really any point to the character? I mean, Journey didn't become a ranger. It was just a tool to give Trini and Zack some parenting to do in this series. And Journey aided in the final battle, but was there really any significant impact on the series? I don't think there was. And now, Jason tells Zack and Trini that he can no longer morph. The only way for Andros to break the Death Ranger's hold on Jason was to sever his connection to the Red Omega powers. There's no telling how long it will take to get him reconnected to the grid. So Trini says Jason should go home and be with his father. Having seen Journey live and die so quickly, Trini says time with loved ones is short. Jason should be with his father. She says that this isn't the end of Jason being a Ranger, it's just a break. The comic draws to a close as Jason plays back an unheard message from his mother on his phone. While receiving some comfort from hearing her voice, we see what happens to the other Rangers. Andros departs with Zane and is obviously comfortable being a full Red Ranger again. Jason says bye to Zach and Trini as he returns to Earth. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers continue as they are, but as for the Omega Rangers, Trini's taken on the mantle of being a Red Ranger and Kevil has joined as the Yellow Ranger. It's good to see Trini as the Red Ranger again, only this time it's not by accident. The comic ends with Jason saving his mother's final message on his phone. For me, I think this was a satisfying ending to finish the Charge to 100 storyline and to properly conclude the Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers series. Sure, the Zord battle in the end was underwhelming, but if I'm honest, I've almost come to expect such disappointing battles from Boom Studios now. The rest of the action was okay, and the important thing was that I was entertained from the start of this issue to the end. It's good to see that the two Ranger teams will continue to protect the universe. I guess Andros and Zane's story would start to head more towards the Power Rangers in Space TV series now. I think the same could go for Jason. He returned to the Zeo TV series to become the Gold Ranger. Therefore, it makes sense for Jason to be powerless in the comic now, so that in the future he'll be able to pick up the Gold Ranger powers. It's no secret by now that I've not enjoyed these comics as much as I did when the series first launched. In fact, Go Go Power Rangers was my favourite ongoing series, and I saw Power Rangers as a continuation of it. There's someone else who's familiar with Go Go Power Rangers. Amy Jo Johnson, the original Pink Ranger.
So I am only really familiar with the Go Go Power Ranger comics, which I believe takes place before Tommy shows up, and I have a boyfriend named Matt in those comic books, which is kind of fun because my boyfriend in real life is Matt.
Speaking of Matt the Green Ranger, I know a lot of people don't like that character, but I did. It just shook things up a bit, so it was a refreshing addition to the already established Ranger team. All that's left for me to say is, both Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers are finished now. So, this is my final video on the subject. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.